Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Water Tower. My name is Melissa Meeker, and I am the CEO of the Water Tower. So this is my building, quote unquote. It's really your building, but I run everything in it. I have a fantastic team. The Water Tower is a unique organization. We are a nonprofit and a fantastic, I think, community amenity. We work on everything that is water. So when you think about clean, fresh water that we need for drinking, that we need to support our businesses, that we need in Lake Lanier, all those things, we look at R&D, technology, innovation, research, all different kinds of things like that. So that all takes place in the building. When you leave, you may poke your head in and look through the window of the state-of-the-art laboratories that we have. We have a demonstration area in the back that's very unique. It's the only one in the country. So we are doing some great cutting-edge research. One of the key things that we work on is workforce recruitment and training. The water industry as a whole it's facing like 40% of the workforce is set to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. So we're in a position where if you want to keep drinking water and flushing your toilet, we need to bring some people into the industry and train them up. So we're really focused on that. In fact, last year, the Water Tower had 9,500 visitors from across the country. And we delivered 2,000 hours of hands-on training. That's one of the things I'm very passionate about. We don't do death by PowerPoint here. We really get your hands into it so that you know exactly what you're doing when you walk out of here with your certification. We trained 1,385 workers in 30 different classes. I would say 30 of those were Gwinnett, underserved, first-time nonviolent offenders, people with language challenges, and different things like that. We do a lot of outreach working with our social service nonprofits to get people in the door and really get them trained up so that we can lift up the community while we're doing that. So really excited about that. In addition, at the Water Tower, our second and third floors are private tenants. Several of them are first-time offices in the state of Georgia or in Gwinnett. 10 private companies, engineering firms, construction, all water-related businesses. So really excited about that. We do monthly tours. If anyone's interested, our next one is April 15th. And we'll do a tour of this facility. And then there's also a tour of the plant next door. Who's been to the Water Tower before? Yes, you have. So glad you guys can make it today. Again, a great event. We host, a lot of our spaces are open to the public to rent. So I'm surprised that you haven't been here for one thing or another. We also do our own conferences and things like that. So I'm just really excited to have you here. And you can find out information on all of that on our website. There's also some brochures outside. Also a copy of our new annual report is outside if you're interested. If they run out, because I didn't bring down that many, you can find that on our website. And actually, I think it was just posted today to LinkedIn and those different places. So it's my pleasure to introduce Commissioner Matthew Holtkamp. He was elected to District 4 seat in Gwinnett County, District 4 seat of the Gwinnett County Board of County Commissioners in 2022. District 4 includes the cities of Auburn, Brazelton, Beaufort, Mulberry, Sugar Hill, Rest Haven, and parts of Decula, Lawrenceville, and Suwanee. Is there anything left?
That's 8 cities. Most cities in any one district.
There you go. Most cities in any one district. Matthew moved to Gwinnett from a small farm in Iowa in 1985. He is the founder and president of a Gwinnett-based business, Holtkamp HVAC and Plumbing, which has received both local and national recognition. In 2021, Matthew was appointed by Governor Brian Kemp to serve on the Conditioned Air Licensing Board. He also serves as past president of the Board of Directors for the Conditioned Air Association of Georgia. Other recent leadership positions include the executive board of the Gwinnett Republican Party and chairman of the Gwinnett Technical College Foundation Board, another skilled trade organization that I love. During their almost 40 years in Gwinnett, Matthew and his wife, Suzanne, have raised 2 beautiful daughters and continue to be deeply involved in local business, nonprofit, and church communities. Commissioner?
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the State of District 4 Town Hall. Thank you to Melissa Meeker and the entire team here at the Water Tower for hosting us tonight. Melissa, are you going to be giving tours after the town hall tonight? I guess that's maybe. Okay, if I haven't already put her to sleep. Yeah, this is an amazing facility. I've always been impressed anytime I've gone around this place, and I've actually come here for conferences and stuff, and also met people from around the world that I've gotten to basically come here with the Chamber of Commerce and welcome them to Gwinnett County and kind of show how awesome this place is. And so glad to be here. And more importantly, thank everyone in this room for showing up tonight. How about that for civic engagement? And then I also have to give a couple of shout outs to some elected officials here tonight. We have Kyle Shields from the city of Mulberry is here. Where's Kyle at? In the back row. Thank you, Kyle. And Mayor Brandon Hembry from the city of Sugar Hill. Where is he at? There he is. Thank you, Brandon, for coming. So civic engagement isn't a spectator sport. In fact, the fact that you're here tonight means everything. This year, our nation marks 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, a document that bears the name of our county's own namesake, Button Gwinnett. His signature was a declaration that self-governance and civic responsibility were worth fighting for. And tonight is proof that that spirit is still alive and well in District 4. Earlier this month, Chairwoman Hendrickson delivered her State of the County address around the theme that I believe captures exactly what we're doing here. We're rooted in Gwinnett. Tonight is about showing what it looks like here in District 4. But before we go there, I want to take pause. Our community suffered a profound loss earlier this year. Gwinnett police officer Pradeep Tamang gave his life in service to this county. His sacrifice is a reminder that the safety we often take for granted has a very real human cost. I'd like to ask that you join me in a moment of silence to honor Officer Tamang and to pray for the continued recovery of Master Police Officer David Reed, who is also injured. Thank you. We honor that sacrifice by continuing the work of making this community a safe, prosperous place to call home. In a moment, we'll watch a video that takes an in-depth look at how we carry that mission forward. So let's take a look. Hello, everyone. I'm Commissioner Matthew Holtkamp. It's an honor to serve the residents of District 4, where our rich history meets a vibrant future. I'm proud to share that we're growing stronger every day through strategic investments and a commitment to superior services. Today, I want to highlight the progress we've made in transportation, public safety, and economic development. I also want to celebrate the unique character of our county that makes us the preferred community where everyone thrives. First, let's talk about the state of District 4. District 4 is home to more than 264,000 residents, a number we expect to grow to nearly 284,000 by 2030. Our economic vitality is reflected in our rising median household income, which is also projected to climb by more than 14% in the next 5 years. Since 2022, we've seen a 4% rise in the number of District 4 residents who are employed. This economic momentum is fueled by local entrepreneurs, with 43 new businesses forming in our district since 2023. To support our growth, we must ensure our infrastructure is as resilient as our residents. Maintaining a vibrantly connected community starts with our roads and intersections. We're prioritizing safety and connectivity along the Thompson Mill Road corridor with 2 major roundabout projects. For the intersection at Ridge Road, we're building a new roundabout that includes new sidewalks, lighting, and drainage improvements, with construction anticipated to begin by March. Meanwhile, work is already well underway just down the road at North Bogan Road. This FLOST-funded roundabout project includes a new water main, pedestrian sidewalks, and drainage upgrades to support our long-term infrastructure through 2026 and beyond. I'm also excited about the upcoming road widening on State Route 20 in Buford between the Mall of Georgia and Rock Springs Road. This major project will add a third northbound travel lane to alleviate congestion in one of our busiest corridors. In addition to these projects, we've recently completed vital updates to enhance safety and flow at several major intersections. At Peachtree Industrial and Swanee Dam Road, we've added a southbound through lane and upgraded additional turn lanes to keep traffic moving. We're seeing similar updates at Hamilton Mill and Bart Johnson Road, as well as Flowery Branch Road and Spout Springs Road. But our commitment doesn't stop once the pavement is dry. Keeping roads clean and safe is a shared responsibility, and that's where your voice becomes our most valuable tool. The Citizen Self-Service Portal is a vital tool in our proactive approach to maintenance. Last year alone, we received approximately 3,600 requests from District 4 residents. The majority of these reports focused on preventative maintenance, such as tree trimming and overgrowth removal, alongside more than 280 requests to repair or install streetlights. By utilizing this data, our teams were able to address over 600 instances of debris removal and vegetation maintenance, ensuring our roads and sidewalks remain safe and accessible for everyone. By listening to your feedback, we remain accountable and transparent as we ensure our infrastructure keeps pace with our community's growth. Integrity and accountability are at the bedrock of our public safety efforts. Gwinnett Fire and Emergency Services is focused on providing superior services by investing in its people. By offering our advanced personnel training opportunities, competitive benefits, and a culture of excellence, we continue to attract and retain high-caliber talent. We're also investing in the future of Gwinnett Police by enhancing our training center and 911 operations, helping provide our officers with the best tools to keep our neighborhoods safe. This commitment extends beyond traditional policing, relying heavily on technology and partnerships. One significant example of this is our Situational Awareness and Crime Response Center. This state-of-the-art facility integrates data from thousands of cameras across the county, giving officers more and better information as they respond to incidents. A vital part of this security network involves our Flock Safety license plate recognition cameras, which allow us to identify and respond to potential threats in real time. Flock cameras are highly effective at tracking stolen vehicles and identifying those involved in criminal activity. They also serve as a powerful deterrent, which is why we're rapidly expanding this network. I'm pleased to share that we've added more than 1,100 Flock cameras to the county last year. This proactive approach to safety helps our families and businesses feel secure. District 4 remains an economic powerhouse, and it's clear that businesses want to be here. The Mall of Georgia corridor is currently experiencing a boom, with more than 21 million annual visits and nearly every available square foot occupied by a thriving business. This momentum is perfectly captured by the Georgia Crossing development, which is now 100% leased to a diverse mix of national retailers. As one of the most visited retail destinations in the state, this area continues to attract top-tier stores and new restaurants that make life in District 4 even more vibrant. While these shopping options provide the convenience we enjoy, the engine behind our future prosperity is in the talented workforce we're cultivating. Our commitment to innovation is best seen through our partnership with Georgia Gwinnett College. As the fastest growing university system in our district, GGC is modernizing its offerings to meet the needs of a 21st century workforce. The college recently reached a milestone with the announcement of its first ever graduate program, a Master of Arts in Teaching Secondary Education. Launching in spring 2027, this program is a direct response to our region's workforce needs, ensuring we're growing the educators who will lead Gwinnett's classrooms. GGC is also leading the way with Nexus degrees that require fewer credit hours, like an associate's degree, but add the hands-on learning experiences and upper-level coursework of a bachelor's degree. By aligning higher education with the local economy, we ensure that students have the tools to succeed and lead right here in District 4. In Gwinnett, partnerships help us move forward. As we look towards the future, we must honor our past. Earlier this month, Gwinnett Chairwoman Nicole Love Hendrickson hosted a powerful State of the County address centered on the theme, Rooted in Gwinnett. She reminded us that the canopy of opportunity we enjoy today exists because previous leaders had the courage to plant the seeds of progress. In District 4, we continue that work by tending to the institutions that help residents grow. For more than a year, I've been working to initiate a study to update our public library system. With the Buford Sugar Hill branch being one of the Gwinnett's oldest facilities, the time has come to begin a serious conversation about its future. I've had productive discussions with Buford Chairman Philip Beard and Sugar Hill Mayor Brandon Hembry. We're looking to move things forward soon, as this project hits close to home for me. When my wife and I were homeschooling our children, the Buford Library was our second classroom. With Sugar Hill's population now exceeding Buford's, we were focused on an updated study to determine what a modernized facility would look like for this growing community. Our goal is to have these projects ready for funding through the 2027 SPLOST, ensuring our libraries remain the community hubs residents deserve. That sense of being rooted in community is perhaps the most visible in our award-winning park system. I believe in leading by example, which is why I've personally walked more than 1,000 miles in District 4 parks, enjoying the trails and the natural beauty that anchors our county. Our district is home to an incredible array of outdoor spaces where our families can flourish. From the active fields of Bogan and Rabbit Hill to the serene trails of Little Mulberry and Harbins Park. This commitment to stewardship goes even deeper through our focus on sustainability. A true crown jewel of the system is the Gwinnett Environmental and Heritage Center. As the county's first LEED certified building, this 233-acre campus is a model of innovation. It offers everything from affordable summer camps and walking trails to year-round events that educate and inspire. As we celebrate the 40th anniversary of Gwinnett Parks and Recreation this year, we're doubling down on our commitment to be good stewards of our resources. So whether we're planting new trees or expanding our trail network, our goal is to ensure that every Gwinnett resident has a place to flourish. I look forward to tending the relationship we share as neighbors, because community truly blossoms when we stay in conversation with each other. As I close out, I want to share some of the ways you can receive county updates. Stay connected by subscribing to my monthly newsletter at gwinnettcounty.com/district4news. For those interested in serving on a board, committee, or authority, visit gwinnettcounty.com/apply to serve. You can also find us on social media at GwinnettGov. And if you need to get in touch with me, you can always email my office at matthew.holtkamp@gwinnettcounty.com. Thank you for joining me. And as always, stay vibrantly connected. Thank you, everybody. Man, it makes me reflect back to November 1985 when I landed in Gwinnett County. And the first time I saw those water towers, success lives here. Gwinnett is great. I mean, who would want to leave? Was that an amazing video to just kind of rolling that all up? That was pretty good. So as you heard in this video, that is the state of District 4. And that is what Rooted in Gwinnett looks like in practice. So tonight we want to go a little deeper. And more importantly, we want to hear from you. So to help with that, I've been joined by some members of our county leadership team. So please help me welcome, and guys, come on up. Edgardo Aponte, Director of the Gwinnett County Department of Transportation. I'm sure you're going to get the most questions. Okay. Chris Hayward, Assistant Director for Planning and Development. And Major Amanda Kane, Gwinnett County Police Department. So what we'd like to do, this is actually going to be completely driven by y'all in the audience. And so come on up to the mic, state your address as much or as little as you want, or you don't have to at all, actually. And we'll do our best to get to everybody's questions tonight. And if everybody goes on way too long, I'll have to cut the cord. But yeah. And then if there are any questions that you don't want to ask publicly, I'm not going anywhere tonight, and my wife isn't expecting me home at any time soon. So I'll stay later if necessary. But I want to be able to answer everybody's questions that if you came out, if you have a question you'd like to ask. So who's going to be our first person? Darlene, is it going to be you? Darlene?
Make this short. So my question is about rezoning issues in the north end of Gwinnett. And we are particularly under pressure because of the restrictive policies of Buford. They love warehouses and not much else. And then the restrictive residential policies of Mulberry is forcing, how do I say this, forcing the higher density, less attractive developments into unincorporated Gwinnett, where we have the most raw land. So does Gwinnett County have a plan for us in our unincorporated Gwinnett to help us counter those forces that are working to cram in some development in every available corner?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your question. So this is something that we're really paying attention to, right? I mean, I'm sure that you're familiar with our 2045 unified plan that we put together a couple of years ago that really kind of laid out the land use vision for unincorporated Gwinnett County. We're really trying to take that a step further and really kind of drilling in on specific areas of the county to get more detail, to get resident buy-in, right? To get more feedback about what you want to see in different areas. And so that's something that we're doing in various different areas of the county to try to get that direct feedback from the community, to get more detail than we even got into in the 2045 plan. So really for those areas, like we're starting one up in the Harbins area right now that we're about to launch, and we're going kind of one part of the county at a time and getting that additional sort of granular information and resident buy-in. So that's one way to participate. The other piece of it is really just through that rezoning process, because it's not a given when somebody comes in, if they make a proposal for a new development, that it's just going to be approved, right? So there's a whole process involved in that. So they have to come to us at the staff level. We take a look at it just purely objectively. We look to see if it's an appropriate land use based on that future development map. There's an opportunity for community feedback through the Planning Commission and through the Board of Commissioners public hearing process. And so I know every step of the way, both at the staff level, the Planning Commission, and of course our Board of Commissioners takes that responsibility seriously and want to make the right decisions. And so that's something that, we look at kind of on a case-by-case basis as those things come through. And definitely anybody that's, if you want to get involved, if you want to kind of have more information about rezonings that are coming through, we have tools for you to be able to keep up with that. But really the best way is to kind of stay engaged and participate in the process. If something's coming through, if something's being proposed where you're like, hey, this isn't appropriate here, we don't agree with it, let us know and actively engage, because I know.
I would say Darlene is the most engaged citizen.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe this isn't so much for you, but for everybody else. So.
Well, I guess my follow-up question to that would be: why does it seem that the planning department just passes through whatever the developer is asking for without looking at the 2045 plan? Like sometimes we are looking at rezonings that are completely inappropriate for the area. And why are we as citizens left the ones to fight it? We're not the professionals. Your planning department and the lawyers on the developer side are the professionals. We're just regular everyday people trying to get through the traffic and the congestion.
Yeah, I mean, we all have a role in the process, right? And I would say that having looked at the different recommendations that come through, not everyone is a recommendation for approval, right? There are several recommendations for denial that have happened this year through our department. Mm-hmm. And if there are specific issues that you're seeing where you're like, hey, y'all are seeing it one way, I'm seeing it another way, we sit down and have those conversations. We had somebody that just brought that up the other day about a certain area of the county where he was saying, hey, y'all are looking at it one way, I'm seeing it a different way. We sat down, we talked through it, and we'd certainly welcome the feedback. But I mean, I would say just from a staff perspective, I think we do the best with what we have. And certainly if you think we're not doing it right, we're open to listen.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
Hey there. I'm a little nervous, sorry. Just to kind of piggyback on what Darlene had said, do you need my name and my address and everything?
What's your name?
My name is Linda Halverson. I'm at 3655 Ellenberg Drive. I live in the Ellenberg subdivision, something near and dear to your heart, Mr. Holtkamp. You're from-
Where Susan and I first bought our first house.
That's right. That's right. So, so I just wanted to bring up the proposed development. The applicant has asked to build 67 townhomes right there on Ridge and Thompson Mill. And so, of course, I'm coming as a concerned citizen and somebody that's literally right down the road from this possible development. How it's going to impact our community right there. I do know that you said that we were getting a roundabout there, but I don't know with just the more traffic. It's so congested right there anyway now. And then of course with the schools being overcrowded. And I just don't think that the high density development would serve our community well. So definitely just a concern. So
Had one community meeting, maybe two.
I wanted to ask if Mr. Holtkamp, if you could just vote no on this and help us to just kind of go to bat for us. And we would love to just keep our goats and our pigs there and our sheep and the farm on that corner. That would be wonderful. So that's.
I'm not sure exactly where that is in the process right now, but certainly as with any rezoning, that would have to go to the planning commission. It would go to
Correct.
the board of commissioners.
Right.
And so that there would be ample opportunity to, participate in that process, as well as, I know Commissioner, reads any of the emails that come through as well.
Yeah.
So any feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have, I've started a petition, and so that is out there on, my Facebook, of course, page, our community Facebook page, next door. And then also, just trying to get everybody excited, like, hey, we need to vote this down. So, but anyway, thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate y'all. And hopefully we can get this thing stopped. So thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Matt Shackelford. I kind of just wanted to pop in support of Linda and Darlene. I live in a development right around the corner from that parcel as well. Rivers in Place. It's a lovely, quiet community. It's a big part of why we bought in there. It's established. It's been there, 25 years. And in the little.
Which neighborhood do you live in? Which neighborhood do you live in from there?
Rivers Inn, so right off of Rivers Inn Place.
Okay.
There's a cul-de-sac back there, no through traffic. It's lovely.
I know
But we've got a lot of the same concerns that Linda brought up. I just kind of wanted to reiterate the fact that, I like that there's been recognition that they need a roundabout there in order to alleviate some of that congestion and traffic. But I think the fact that that's needed already sort of points to the fact that bringing in, a denser population center to a pretty tight area is just going to create further problems for the existing residents and future residents as well.
Reports of him doing this publicly.
Yeah, so I appreciate you sharing the process.
Yeah.
I guess question apart from voicing the fact that many folks in my community are also opposed to that project. What sort of studies are done, like for environmental impact, noise pollution, light pollution, all of that kind of stuff? What does the process look like in actually determining the impact to existing residents and wildlife and ecological impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of steps in the process, right? And the rezoning phase is really focused on the land use, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, during the rezoning phase, based on the size of the development, there will be a traffic study, right? To assess the traffic impacts on the surrounding community. Now, what you don't really get into as much during the land use piece of it is that more environmental piece, right? So if the land use is appropriate and they end up going forward with applying for a development permit to actually grade and prepare the site, right? That's when you'll start getting into the stormwater, the development
Right.
impacts, right? The erosion control and all that stuff.
Yeah, we have two pretty large bodies of water right there back within, there's a
Yep.
large pond on the property, we have a lake adjacent to it, so I would be concerned about the impact on that just from the construction itself.
Exactly. So that'll really be done. That we'll have engineered plans that are done by a professional certified engineer, right? That would be submitted as part of that land development permit process. But that wouldn't be until after the rezoning. So the rezoning piece of it really just kind of looks at, is this an appropriate use in this area, and what are the overall impacts of it, right? And doesn't get into that specific engineered level of detail. So we'd get into that further on in the process, if it goes further in the process, which we don't know at this time.
Okay. Yeah, that was it. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Colleen Carey, and I live on Rock Springs Road between Rock Springs Park and the new North Side Medical Building. And I'm really excited to hear that they're finally going to make that third lane on 20, as the state has been promising for a while. But I am concerned, even with that extra lane that's only going to be going to Rock Springs from 85. What is the timeline in which they're actually going to do that? And where I live, the fire station number 10 is right there. Traffic's just so bad to the point where it looks like it's just a public safety problem for the emergency vehicles just to get even out of that fire station or just to get down 20. I saw, unfortunately, a really horrible accident this weekend over by, Riverside. And the traffic was just so bad. When I went past, the police and fire weren't there, and I don't even know how they were going to be able to get there. From that backup. Hopefully that they were okay, because no one was there at that time, but is there any way you're working on, I know at one point they were going to try to increase the lanes on 20 all the way to Old Peachtree, and there was one time the Old Peachtree was going to pick up an extra lane between 20 and Collins Hill, and it was on a SPLOST that way deep in the projects, and SPLOST didn't get funded. So is there any traffic relief other than that extra lane to Rock Springs that's going to be in that area?
Hello. So, all right, just testing the microphone. So, thank you for your question. I appreciate your question, specifically on the State Route 20, which is a much-needed project through there. There's about 90,000 vehicles that travel through that corridor through there, through the exchange area. We have a project that is funded by the SPLOST program, and we are, just like you mentioned, we're adding a third lane, a northbound lane from Tech Center Parkway all the way to I-85. Now, we are coordinating that with the state because that's a state-maintained roadway, and so we have to get the permits, and we're going through that process and working with them too as well to get that project. We anticipate beginning construction of that project early next year. So that's where we're going through right now in the process of that project. And then the state is have another project in the future to add another third lane in the other direction. Now that is managed by the state, and it's a much longer process because those are state-funded, federally funded projects. But that one is being managed by the state. But we are working with the state and doing what we can because it is a much-needed improvement on State Route 20, Buford Drive.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Margot. I live in Suwanee, but the Lawrenceville side of Suwanee. I have a couple concerns more than questions. They're kind of hand in hand, though. The first one is we touched upon at the beginning of the meeting, the tree canopy. We have these big, beautiful trees. You know, we've got the falcons and the hawks. Our teams are named after these birds, and these birds are going to go away because we're cutting down these beautiful trees and planting 5-foot ones that no animal can live in. And it's kind of linked with the second part with the planning department. Where I live, there's a Kroger, there's an H Mart within a half a mile, and now they approved like an Aldi in the same half mile. I know there's slightly different grocery stores, but we really don't need 3 grocery stores in a half mile. It's ridiculous. And the Aldi that they're building was an old church, and the builder said, I want the buffer reduced. And I did everything you're saying. I wrote an email saying, please do not reduce the buffer. Guess what? The buffer was reduced anyway. So you're asking us to do these things, and then it's like, why? It doesn't get changed. So what's the point of having a buffer if it's going to be reduced? And that would help with some of the green space if we keep the buffers. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, let me kind of take your points one at a time. One was on the tree canopy. We did just complete, it's still in draft form, but tree canopy assessment for the county. And we were kind of excited, and I will say that I was a little bit surprised that over the course of the last 12 years, we've actually increased canopy as a county. And I think in part of that is natural growth in some areas. Part of that is, even though you mentioned about on new developments, some of the smaller trees, right, that are going in over time, those end up growing. So over the course of the last 20 years, we've seen some growth in some of these neighborhoods, right? One thing that we've been really proud of and excited about this year so far is our front yard tree program. I don't know if anybody in the room kind of had seen about that, but we had immense interest in that. We had 700 people apply to be able to get trees installed in their front yards. And so we're working through the process right now, figuring out who's going to actually, end up getting those trees, because I don't know if we're going to have budget for everybody, because we didn't expect that much support for it. But one of the cool things is that we're actually funding that program through our tree bank fund. So when developers go through the process, if they're not able to meet certain requirements, then there's a recompense that they pay, right? And so we're actually able to use those funds where maybe a couple of trees didn't end up getting planted in one part of the county, and now they're getting spread throughout the county. And so that's something that we're really excited about. In terms of the process, I know that can be frustrating, right? When you go through the process, you show up, you do everything that you're supposed to, and it doesn't go the way that you expected. But I will assure you, there are plenty of times when it goes the other way. And so I just implore you to please, don't let that rub you the wrong way and to get disengaged, because, we need to hear from you as part of the process. I know the commissioner needs to hear from you as part of the process to know what you think. So, thank you.
These are never tall enough. Don't worry about it. That's all right. I'm going to follow up on what
That's
Darwin-
Krista.
Hi, I'm Krista. I'm Krista. I'm in the neighborhood off of Spout Springs that we can't get out because we're between Flowery Branch and Duncan Creek Road. So thank you to everybody who stops and lets me take a left. I really appreciate that. I so appreciate that. So Darlin was mentioning about appropriate development in areas. So this is a P&D thing as well. I've read many letters of intent, and it's the same questions for every developer. One of the questions that I think is ridiculous is this development going to cause any kind of disruption in traffic or increase in traffic, or I guess, in some way just destroy the local landscape with traffic and those types of things? And it's always no. I've seen so many, I think the questions, and I'm going back to the letters of intent, the questions need to be more accountable. So for instance, instead of saying, is it going to increase traffic or cause issues, how is this development going to improve the quality of the area? Why are you wanting to do this development in this area at this time? What is the purpose of this development in terms of how are you going to improve maybe some public utilities, or what's going to be your contribution as a developer to the local community and where it's at? It's like just holding them more accountable. And I've come up with my own questions. I'm like, I need to send this off and say, these are the better questions to ask. Not that they're actually held accountable, and I get it's government, I understand that. But it's just, I think it just needs to be more direct. And I'm actually City of Mulberry now, but I care about all of Gwinnett. I really do. So that would be my only concern is there a way that we can change that, or does there have to be a vote, or does it have to be what would be the process for that if we can change something so that it holds developers more accountable? If they can't answer the questions believably, then I would say no. It's just, they're telling us, we really can't pull this off. Does that make sense? So, yeah. Yeah, so that's my question. I appreciate you all being here, by the way. I really do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. So absolutely, I mean, a lot of the questions that we ask are based on established standards that are laid out in our Unified Development Ordinance, right? Those standards that have to be met as part of the rezoning process, but our Unified Development Ordinance can be changed and our applications can be changed, right? So absolutely, we have flexibility in that sort of thing. And so, I mean, be happy to give you a card if you have ideas on it. I'd certainly love to hear them. So thank you.
Matthew Beauty, Hunters Creek. Major Kane, we are the COPS Master Community for 2026, so we're very proud of that. I have a couple questions. So first of all, moving further up Highway 20, I live at Hunters Creek, right by High Hope Road, right by the BP station, and I work in Progress Center. So let's be honest, how long should that take me to go 2 miles to work?
5 minutes.
Upwards of 15 minutes sometimes, okay? Now, there's a couple reasons why. Number one, you closed Cedars Road, took the traffic light away. I understand maybe why you did or why you didn't. I actually don't understand that, but it just makes all the traffic flow that way towards us now. We can't make a left. Once we pull out, we can't even get in the left-hand turn lane to turn down High Hope Road. So causing us to have to go back to the church and do a U-turn and come back. That's one question. What are we doing about that intersection up there at 20 and 124 where it's an angle, there's one left-hand turn lane and it lets 6 cars through at a time? The other question is, all the stuff going on in 316, they obviously had to do what they got to do to make, what is the overall plan? What county roads are going to be closed? And how much more traffic would I expect right there? Because I'm not sure there's not much you can do with the intersection at High Hope and 124 right now, but there's got to be something. So those are my 2 questions.
Thanks, Matt.
So a couple of questions that you're asking there, and let me answer those questions. So you pointed out at 316, I think you have some questions about 316, the projects on 316. What are those projects, what those consist of, and then you had the other intersection is 124 at 20, right there on Breaston. Yep, yep, and so those are state routes. The state route, all 3 of them are state routes, and we don't have a project on 124 and 20, but I know the state has the state has a project on 20 from 124 all the way to 316. They are early in the process in that project. That's what they mentioned to us, and they are planning to add a 3rd lane heading from Beaufort all the way to Lawrenceville in that direction. So that is a project that it's GDOT or the state has in their books. Again, it's state funded, it's federally funded, so it's not I do not have a schedule for that project, but it's, I'll be happy to share that with you. I can give you my card afterwards, and if you want to reach out to me, we'll be happy to share more information, and you can reach out to us. As far as 316, State Route 316, those are projects that we, the county, we partner with the state in order to convert 316 into a freeway. So basically, it is a big safety improvement along the corridor, if you think about it that way. It's eliminate all the traffic signals and basically build bridges over 316. There's going to be one on High Hope Road. That's one project. And then there's going to be another interchange, what I call interchange. It's a state route. It's basically a bridge over 316 with ramps on Hurricane Trail. And there's going to be another one on Winder Highway. Those projects are under construction. They're going to take a while. I think it's anticipated to completion in 2029, I think it is. And state is managing the construction of those projects. We partner with them to do the engineering work on the Winder Highway and Hurricane Trail, do the right-of-way acquisition by the land, and then the state is managing the construction of the projects. High Hope Road, they're managing that project too as well. As part of the corridors, Harbins Road, that's one that we completed. It was 100% locally funded, and that opened to traffic in 2022. So it's just part of a series of projects on 316 that we partner with the state. Does that answer your question? Or okay. Thank you.
So can I ask a second question if it's a different topic? This is transportation.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. A couple of years ago, the neighbors in the Highway 124, 324, that's Brazelton Highway, Gravel Springs, Auburn Road intersection, learned that we had gotten SPLOST funding for the improvement of Auburn Road, where it goes from 4 lanes to 2 to 4 lanes, to have that widened. I was wanting to know where we are in that process, and then what would be the possibility of getting a speed camera in front of Fort Daniel, because that's right where it narrows and people are flying down that hill to hurry up and get in front of the car next to them because, you know, it's that important. So could we get a speed camera there to stop that business?
I can answer one question. The other question on the speed camera, I can, okay, all right.
So two, I got a two.
So you'll get two of us. So the question on the project on 324, yes, we do have a project to widen, continue that 4-lane on 324 from Fort Daniel Road all the way to Jim Moore Road. And that is it is currently under, in the right-of-way acquisition process. Is a state route. We have to get permits from the state too as well and approvals from the state. But that project is it's developing, and we anticipate going into construction late next year. We're working on that project. It's going through the right-of-way acquisition. We have to buy land, and we have to talk to the neighbors, out to the community out there to do that project. And as far as the other question, I'm going to pass it on.
Okay, and to clarify, so we don't have speed cameras. We have speed calming devices like the signs that will tell you what the speed.
Yes.
Okay, and so they're twofold. They can tell you your speed, or we can put them in a mode where you don't necessarily see it, but it's always capturing data. And that's data that we share back and forth to the Department of Transportation. And that helps us look at the amount of traffic we have, when are most of our speeding infractions taking place. Sometimes it's not speeding, sometimes it's distracted driving or other things that are causing some issues there. And that helps us better direct our resources so that we can handle that. But again, if it's not a camera that we need to put out there or a speed sign, I can meet you afterwards and you can give me your email or your information. And that way we can get with our motors unit and our officers that work the road and then just have them go out there and do area checks and do some contacts with folks.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Miles Schwartz. I'm on 5088 Stephen Ridge. This is a two-part enforcement question, so I'm not sure who it gets. So the Flowery Branch Spout Springs, that has a weight limit on it, but you can stand there for 10 minutes and there's a fully loaded dump truck or 40-foot gravel coming over it every single day and making that turn. And everybody has to back up to go. It's an ongoing thing. I know there's a weight limit, but the sign is about 15 feet once they get on it. They need to move the sign back to tell them maybe they won't pull on it. But that's the first one. I'm not sure how you can prevent that, but that is now the cut through going to, whether you go into Brazelton, 124, because of all the construction. That is the pass-through, how they get down through there. That's the first road. Second one's Duncan Creek. There was a sign put up maybe a month, 2 months ago. It says 36,000 pound capacity. There's 3 subdivisions going down there, and from 6 o'clock to about 3 o'clock, there's a line of cement trucks, 40-foot gravel trucks, logger trucks, average, I'm just guessing here, ex-engineer, fully loaded cement trucks, probably between 60 and 80,000 pounds, be a good guess. It says 36,000 pounds. The 40-foot gravel trucks are probably 60, 70,000 pounds. And then the logging trucks that are tandem now, going both ways, going probably 30, 40 miles an hour. Good opportunity to make some money on that road for enforcement or, Anyway, they're destroying the road and keeping everybody up because of the size and speed now going down there. I know it's a limited time, but there's still another subdivision starting up down there. And it's just an endless supply of trucks. And if you go on the road now, you probably haven't been over there in a while, both shoulders are totally crushed. So if you ever do anything there, they're gonna have to fix the roads now. And I'm not sure if the builders are gonna participate, but is there any way to get the trucks to obey the law, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, that's my two questions. Anybody want to touch those?
Okay. Okay, you're talking about Duncan Creek Road up near the county line,
Yes.
correct? Okay, so we went out and looked at that last year when they first started developing that first subdivision.
Right.
We had a speed sign up there for a while just to track folks that are going in and out. As far as enforcement goes, we have to allow the trucks to move in and out that are actively working there because they have to be able to get materials in and out. So that's something we can work with DOT as far as, are there other options for a thoroughfare, or is that the way that they have to go?
That's the only way in,
Right.
it's a service road. It's not a full width road.
Yes, sir.
They're exceeding the speed limit by 2-3 times, and they're 2.5 to 3 times overweight what the sign says they should be.
And we can definitely go back out and do it again. When we looked at it last year, we weren't seeing a lot of speeding. And I know there's some folks that have been there for a long time on Duncan Creek Road, and especially with the difficulty of trying to get out of there because that is going to increase in traffic with the number
Yeah,
of
no,
folks that
it's
live in there.
definitely, I have a driveway, and Gwinnett is welcome to park in my back driveway, and
I
just
will let them know.
just write the tickets. You know, what about the trucks coming across the bridge? Is there any kind of enforcement, or is that there again, we just have to let them do it?
So we do, and I have some that are, have more, more aggressive with construction vehicles and more knowledge with commercial motor vehicles. And so they'll pull them over and ask them, where are you coming from? And if they can't show that they're actually going to or from a job site, then they'll handle that appropriately. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting in touch with whoever's in charge of the project and working out a workaround, because that's a worker that's only maybe there for that day, but that's not fixing the problem long-term, and that's what we're looking
Yeah.
for.
I mean, like I said, it's 3 subdivisions, so my
Yes,
guess is
sir.
they probably have another 3 to 4 months worth of work. They just clear cut. So they're gonna be there a while. So there's plenty of opportunity for Gwinnett to make a buck.
Is this where I clarify that those funds don't come back to the police
Yeah, and like I
department,
said,
sir?
you're welcome. You're welcome to
We
use
call
my
those-
other driveway back there. Just park and have fun. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Anthony James. I'm in the Mulberry section, which is still a bit of an enigma for me. So this question is around operations. Mulberry will control what gets approved, and Gwinnett controls the services that absorb it. What is the formal process that ensures capacity keeps pace with the approvals? And who owns that coordination?
I can start, yeah. So I think it's owned across multiple entities and individuals, right? So City of Mulberry was established with a defined scope of services, right, from the legislature. So they are, you're correct, responsible for zoning. So they would authorize land use decisions. They're gonna handle permitting, right? Building permitting, development permitting. So they're gonna be approving, not necessarily approving or denying projects throughout that process, right? Gwinnett County has defined scope of services as well. And those are negotiated not just with City of Mulberry, but with all cities in Gwinnett County on a periodic basis through a service delivery strategy. So that is a negotiated agreement across the county with all cities and Gwinnett County to figure out what are the services that are provided by each and how the funding structure works, right? In terms of their specific tax districts, right? That pay for police services, that pay for fire services, the general fund that pays for a variety of different services, including our courts, administration, right? So basically, that's something that's gonna be negotiated on and I don't know what the exact frequency is. I wanna say it's like every 10 years or something like that. Of course, City of Mulberry came up in between that occurring, so it wasn't renegotiated with everybody as a result of that. But once that comes back around, that would be renegotiated again at that time. And that would be done at a, county leadership, city leadership level.
And that's the who.
The who. So, I mean, these would have to be adopted by every city council and the board of commissioners ultimately. But I believe that it would be negotiated by county and city administrators, the law department, right? So this is pretty high level negotiations that take place.
If someone like me wanted to, there's a lot of talk around the capacity of what's happening. Just tonight alone, probably 3 questions didn't fall in that category. How do we find the people who are making those decisions specifically just for Mulberry, because I mean, selfishly, that's where I live.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, City of Mulberry has a city manager, mayor, council, right?
And so you're working, Gwinnett and City of Mulberry, working together, there's a team that owns that process.
Yes, but I guess what I would say is not specific necessarily to Mulberry and Gwinnett County.
Everybody.
Yeah, all
Okay.
cities and how that comes together and what kind of the rules of the road are, who does what, right? That's renegotiated on a periodic basis. It's that service delivery strategy, exactly.
Thank
So
you.
Mulberry was a little bit different because it was created in the middle of that time frame, right? So, and the state legislature established kind of what the rules of the road were in terms of who's doing what.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
David Witham. I live in Beaufort. I've got a comment and a question. The question is more of a 15 to 50-year question as opposed to some of the immediate stuff that we've been dealing with. First, the comment. You guys, DOT, you put in a roundabout at the end of Beaufort, well, it's Little Mill Road and Beaufort Dam Road, and that was the smartest thing. It would be nice if people knew how to drive roundabouts in Gwinnett. That's a problem, but that traffic solution was the smartest idea that I have seen in Gwinnett County traffic solutions for an intersection that is busier than it should be, but it is busy. I want to thank you very much for that. The question is, currently, and I think you brought it up about the application for developer, I've seen it. It's not greatly changed from the 1990s when we were 10 years out from being an agricultural county. I know you guys know this because I've been exposed to it since I'm on one of the county boards. If I have to do or pay money for a federal study, that's a significant amount of money and it's a very detailed study. Our developers come in here and make a boatload of money and they just say, I don't think I'm going to cause that much traffic development, or I'm only putting in 300 houses, so it's maybe 300 cars. If the developers were made to do actual studies, like Georgia Tech graduate engineer studies of the impact of what they do, I think it would be a whole lot more enlightening to the Planning Commission for the 15 to 50-year time frame. Because the second part of the question is, I live in Beaufort. I live on the other side of the tracks, the bad side of Beaufort. But I've had 6,400 apartment units or apartment dwellings, rooms, put in the last 18 months. It's nice right now. And just beyond that, and I've talked to Mayor Hembry about it, he's got a few more there in Sugar Hill. They're nice right now, but I've lived in Gwinnett County long enough to remember Venture Boulevard and the apartments that came in and were nice there. And now I am sure that you send a lot of units there dealing with the crime issues in and around there. What the refinery is now, and that's just the one near me. I'm not picking on them solely. But you guys are not taking into account the 50-year cost that it's going to deal with, that she's going to be in charge of 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when the nice shiny stuff wears off, and you've got to pick up the cost of dealing with that. And that's something that I'd really like to see a change.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Witham, and thank you for your service to the Department of Water Resources Board. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for the question and the comment as well. So one thing that we're working on right now, I mean, and this is something that's long overdue, and I think it really does touch on what you're talking about here, is looking at doing a fiscal impact analysis of different development patterns. And so this is something we brought in a nationally recognized consultant that we're actively working with to put together projections to see, based on different growth patterns in different parts of the county, what's the long-term financial impact? Not over the next 1 year, the next 5 years, right? Over the next 30 years, what does that look like? Because you're right. I mean, when a new development comes in, right, may look great, right? And you may not see what that long-term maintenance looks like in terms of maintenance of roads, water, sewer, stormwater infrastructure, and the services that you have to provide in order to maintain that, right? So that's something we're looking across the board. This consultant has had meetings with our team as well as every different department in the county to figure out, okay, what are the impacts of different types of development over time on your service delivery, on your maintenance requirements, on the cost to maintain it over time. So that's something we're really excited about. It's something that's new to the county. It's long overdue. But we'd rather get to it now than never, right? So this is something that, we're not ready to roll it out at this time. We're workshopping it internally, but this is something that we want to start doing over the course of the next few years so that we make sure that we're financially sustainable as a county for the next 50 years, to your point. So thank you for that.
My name is Kirsten Schul, and I live in Mulberry, and I have two different questions. The first is for our public safety perspective. I'm a mom of 4. My 2 oldest are now teenagers who want to spend a lot of time at the Mall of Georgia. Living in suburbia, being on social media, being on Nextdoor, you see a lot of people showing concerns about things that I'd like to know as a mom. Are these really things to be concerned about? A lot of people like to get online and talk about child trafficking and all these crimes that are happening. And I just want to know, like, realistically, how's the Mall of Georgia? Can I send my kids? Can they hang out all day, all night? What's it like?
Okay, so first of all, if you have questions about crime, call me.
Right.
And before we leave here, I'll give you my email and I will give you facts because we too monitor Nextdoor and some of the other social media platforms, and there are some interesting comments there.
Right.
We don't always respond. I would say most of them are not accurate.
Right.
Your best source of information is to ask us. We work very closely with our mall security and with the executives at the mall, not just for like the officers working part-time and our enhancement officers there, but in looking forward, as we continue to get ready for summer and spring break and some things we have going on this year or even 5, 10, 15 years down the line. And that's one of the reasons our real-time crime center is here. We have access to all the cameras inside the mall. They were very proactive in collaborating with our department and making sure that we could provide the best public safety. And so I'm very proud to say that our stats look great. We had a really good year, 2025. We saw a 50% decrease in our burglaries across. I'm responsible for the north end of the county, so that's the portion of Mulberry, Beaufort, Rest Haven, Suwanee, Mall of Georgia, obviously, is right across the street there. But as soon as we finished, 2025, it's like, all right, this is what we did well. Where can we even improve on that? So the chief is very big about making sure that we're always looking ahead. It's like celebration of successes for about 2 seconds, and then how do we get better? So the department's looking for ways to leverage technology. We just graduated we have a 28-man academy that's getting ready to be cut loose, and we have another one that's starting on April 4th, and then we've got a 60-man academy that just got started. So we're always looking at improving our resources and ways to make sure that we're getting ahead of those problems, be very proactive before it becomes an issue. So it is a large mall. We have, I don't want to say minor crimes. We have a crime there every once in a while, but we are very proactive. I'm sure you've seen.
Minor crimes, I can understand. I think it's when you see the things that are like, it's child sex trafficking. People throw that around like it's happening all the time. And I'm like, is this really happening in our area? Really?
I would encourage you to reach out to me. I can put you in touch with you and say whether yes. And the other thing is you'll see our cruise lights, like our officers that run with the steady cruise lights there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, between that and the technology that we have been implementing in the department, is probably one of the best things we've done. The way we look at it is if you're looking for the police, you know where to find us. And if you're looking to cause a problem, you're going to leave.
Right.
And that's what we're looking for. So. Yes,
Thank you so much. And then my other question was just, Mr. Holtkamp, I'm excited that something might be happening soon with the Beaufort Sugar Hill Library. Those talks are in works. That's exciting. as a citizen, I don't understand how SPLOST works. I don't understand who gets to have input into the ideas, what the idea process. I got a lot of things I'd like to see SPLOST money go towards. And I don't know, and I think that's the problem with a lot of government in general. Like, as citizens, look at this room full of people that wants to participate. We don't always know how to do the things that we want to do to be part of what's going on. So any education piece with how do I get some ideas on the table so that, because SPLOST funding, it's like you decide it, it's voted for, and then you can't touch it again for 5 years. I mean, it's if we're not paying attention, we miss the opportunity to have input.
Yes, I completely agree. The SPLOST that we're under right now was on the same ballot that was the one that I ran on and won. So I didn't get to have any say in the development of that SPLOST and all those projects. But why don't you speak to kind of the steps to getting projects on the next SPLOST and how that kind of came about, the SPLOST that was on the ballot that I was on?
Yep. So I thank you for your question. That's a great question. And I can currently right now we have the 2023 SPLOST program that is active. We also have the 2017 SPLOST program that is active, but it's that program, it's mostly under construction, I would say. Those projects are in the construction phase. And then the 2023 SPLOST program, it's mostly in the design, going into the construction phase, because we are 3 years into it. And so we have projects that you're gonna see more under construction in the next few years. And so how these projects came about. So talking about the 23 SPLOST program, a committee was composed, the Board of Commissioners, but that was not, I know Commissioner Holtkamp came in 2022, but the citizens, a committee was formed in 2022, probably like in August or so of 2022, to help identify the projects that are going to be funded with this the SPLOST program. And that committee was composed of 15 members. So each commissioner appointed 3 members, 3 citizens, and those citizens, 15 citizens representing the whole county, the different commission districts, they met for about 6 months. We met with them, we provided information to them, we provided information about the universe of what we call a universe of projects. So we maintain a list of projects that are potential projects that could, that are needed in our county. That list of projects, just to give you an idea, is about $10 billion in projects. We don't have that much money, of course. So that's why we have the committee to help us identify those projects. But through that process, we get feedback from the public. Also, the public is were invited to go to those meetings as well during that time. And provide feedback and advocate for any of their projects that they think it's needed. And then at the end of the 6-month period or so, then that committee recommended the list of projects which were then adopted by the Board of Commissioners. Now that was a process that was used in the last SPLOST program, and in 2017 it was a similar process. It was a little different, but it was basically the same. A committee composed of citizens. And I can expand more of that. I can provide more detail. I'll be hanging around here afterwards, and I can share that with you, more details with you. You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Dale Gore. I live in Swanee. And I'm wondering if there's anything that you can do about property taxes. I've been in my home for 25 years, a little more. And I'm used to the value going up some every year, property tax going up some every year. Last year it went up $160,000. So I challenged that and it got rejected. I moved on to the next step with the supposedly impartial arbitration board. They gave me like $6,000 of relief, which is pretty much a joke when it's a $160,000 increase. The next step is going to court, which I'm just not going to bother doing. So I know property values are going up a lot. Is there anything the county can do for the taxpayers about this situation?
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you have the value offset exemption? Like, is your house listed as a homestead exemption?
Homestead exemption?
Right.
I've got that, and I've never understood why you even have to ask for it.
Yeah.
Why isn't that just there?
Right. Well, if you had a second home, that would then be considered a business. So your primary home, that would be your homestead. So you've done
So
that.
by default, it should go to the primary home. You shouldn't even have to ask for it.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with that either. I remember I missed my first year because I didn't realize it way back when.
But I have it. I've always had it.
Yeah. And are you aware that there is a school tax exemption that will be available to you when you turn 65?
Yeah, a couple more years to go.
Okay. Well, then the value offset exemption should have offset that $160,000 increase in the value of your home anyway. You shouldn't have had to pay it.
I'll have to look into that again. All I know is my home went up $160,000.
Right.
And my taxes went up.
There's a column right next to your appraised value that's a VOE, and it will actually reduce that. So it goes back to the first full year, the value of your home, the first full year that you owned it after you applied for your homestead exemption. So that second column will be, if you've been there for a long time. What year did you buy your house?
Yeah, it was 2001, I believe.
Oh, yeah. So it's probably higher than your house is appraised for at this point. Since 2001.
Okay, well, I'll look into that. I didn't
What
notice
throws
that.
people a lot is that your school taxes are not protected by the value offset exemption. So as your VOE increases, that just protects you from the Gwinnett County tax line item that the county gets to pay for our budget items, but the school tax is not protected. And the same thing with cities too.
And so what is the one you?
It's called a VOE, value offset exemption, right?
All right. I'm not a lawyer, so I will pull out my forms and look at that again.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Sue Havard. This is my husband. This is our first town meeting we've ever been to.
Wow, welcome.
I want to say we live right near that, we live in Ellenburg, and we live right near where that 67 townhomes. We're against it too because of the traffic. That's just a comment. And my question is, you're talking about the libraries. We moved here from Henry County several years ago. We think the libraries are amazing. And so I'm wondering what you think needs to be improved in the libraries. Why is Sugar Hill getting, maybe all of them, maybe it's all of them.
Well, it's a recommendation from the library board will come to us, and the last study showed that the Beaufort Sugar Hill Library and the Mountain Park libraries were our two oldest in the counties and the two that really needed the most attention. So that's basically
Is it talking about the building itself?
Yeah, the building itself.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking maybe technology or books or.
No, it's the building itself.
Okay, and the librarians are also amazing.
I know, they are amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathleen Carey, and I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I really do appreciate the transparency and the willingness of Gwinnett County to interface with their residents. It's amazing. I live in Brook Forest subdivision, which is kitty corner from Rock Springs Elementary. I'm a frequent visitor at the Board of Commissioners and the Planning Commission, because when I moved here in 1997, it was all green where I lived. Now we have a lot of construction, a lot of new homes, many multi-family unit subdivisions. My question specifically is piggybacked on one of the things, the studies that are required by the developers. Do those studies, does a planning commission really look at them? Because I know one instance, it is the apartment complex that is being built right now. It's just being clear cut right next to the exchange. We read the traffic study, and there were sections of that traffic study that had streets on it that were nowhere near there. It was from a completely different subdivision or a project. And it was never mentioned on that. It was not even close. Another one is, what can be done with developers postponing zoning requests at the last second, time and time and time and time again? When they see that there is community members that are opposed to it, and they show up and they show up and they show up, and it beats us down. And it has happened time again. Is there anything that can be done to limit the number of times that the last minute tabling by the developer can be?
Yeah, I would say to your first question, and thank you so much for being here and for both questions, and thank you for participating in the process, right? As you mentioned. To the first question, I think we have a very, very engaged planning commission right now. There are a lot of questions that come our way consistently. Normally goes to our planning division staff and they actively work with them, but I'm in the middle of several of those exchanges too. And so several of them really, really get into the details. And so I do believe that our planning commission is very engaged and our board of commissioners is very engaged in the process as well. As it relates to the tabling, ultimately a developer cannot table a case. They can request tabling of a case. And so ultimately that comes down to just the decision-making of, either the planning commission or, if it's at the board of commissioners, the board of commissioners. I would say I don't feel like, certainly when it gets to the board of commissioners level, we haven't seen that as much as we used to several years ago.
Okay.
And so, and that doesn't address your concern, right? But I mean, I haven't seen that nearly as much recently. At the planning commission level, I do know that sometimes part of the thought process is that giving people more time to work with the community, they may end up with a better product rather than having to make a decision on something immediately, if that makes sense. Because sometimes what we'll see is, the community shows up, they have specific requests, and the developer says, can we have some more time to work with the community? And there may be some concessions that are made throughout the process. And so you end up with a product that, while it might not be something that you want, may have some things that you were asking for throughout the process. And of course, that depends from time to time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have been for both processes where the developer actually came up from the beginning and say, there's no way, no how we are going to do this. The community stayed engaged. We built Rock Springs neighborhood, and we were at the meeting after meeting after meeting. And we did, actually, the developer did listen to us. They wanted townhomes. They wanted 212 townhomes. After months and months and tabling and working together, now it's under construction. It's 156 standalone single-family homes. So it does work. It's just a lot of onus on the neighbors. It really is.
I will say I do, and if I find out ahead of time, I try to put it out there to people that I know that have been engaged and try to email them and let them know that the developers requested another month to work with the community to try to come up with something that will be a good compromise.
Well, it was a few years ago. It was before they redistricted us to District 4. We used to be in District 1. And it had happened that we had shown up, and it was on one case, it was 4 different times. It was tabled at the last minute. And finally, it was that the Board of Commissioners, it was Commissioner Watkins, he said, no, these people have been here, we are not going to allow it to be tabled. So, thank you for being here.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
My name is Steve Hughes, and I live in the city of Mulberry. And Matthew, I appreciate you having a town hall, giving us an opportunity to express our concerns. On January the 1st, 2025, the city of Mulberry came into existence. The charter said that the city would have 3 services. One would be planning and zoning, the other would be code enforcement, and the other would be stormwater. In February of 2025, the state legislature drafted SB 138. And under SB 138, there are 3 stormwater structures that are within the city of Mulberry that the state legislature has, to my understanding, permanently transferred to Gwinnett County. And that is the Duncan Lake Dam and 2 of the stormwater retention ponds in Hamilton Mill. So my question is, if Gwinnett County is going to be responsible for these, where does the money for stormwater that Mulberry is to receive, how does Gwinnett get reimbursed for having to take care, permanently maintain those stormwater structures?
Yeah, I mean, typically that sort of thing would be governed through a service delivery strategy. Of course, in the case of the city of Mulberry, it's been a little bit different where the legislature has set the terms for a lot of these things. I'm not sure what there had been pending litigation at one point. I don't think, one, I don't have the answer to that, and two, I don't know that it would be appropriate for me to speak to it either way.
Okay, I was aware that there was a legal challenge to that. Does anybody know what is happening with that legal challenge?
Not that I'm aware of, not at this time. I haven't had an update in quite a while. So you know how long the courts take?
Yes, I do.
Yes, thank you.
One other question I have. Back in September of 2025, there was a rezoning took place off of Auburn Road near the intersection of Bailey Road. And Anderson Walker Homes was requesting the rezoning. I think there was about 300 homes that were put, that were going to request in that subdivision. And part of the zoning application was a traffic study that they had to pay for. And in that traffic study, there were two intersections that were identified, and I'm using their language, as failed intersections. One is the intersection of Bailey Road and Highway 324 or Auburn Road, and the other is at Finch Road and Bailey Road. And I was puzzled why it was approved. There was a recommendation to be accepted with conditions, but I was puzzled when the developer himself said, we realize that this is a failed intersection, and then I know that's a state road, but I worked for a road building contractor for many years. I also know that it's probably going to be a long time before the state is going to be able to do anything at that location. And I guess I've heard a lot of people express the same concern. We approve these things, and it takes sometimes years for the infrastructure and the roads and the schools to catch up. And meanwhile, like they point out, developers, they move on. They make their money, they move on. But I've lived in the same location for 36 years, and I'm left with the aftermath. Now, I'll say this, I'm 72 years old, and I was born in Chamblee, Georgia in 1953. I have watched Atlanta grow, a mile of intensive growth per year, and you go downtown Atlanta and draw a 70-mile circle around the city, and there's nowhere where growth has not occurred. And I'm not here trying to stop growth, but I think people have a legitimate concern because they're affected. I will be here unless something happens till the day I die. And I'm finding it difficult to get out on Finch Road. And so I just wanted to see what you might have to say about those concerns.
If I could interject too, Mr. Hughes, it's interesting. We just did a Board of Commissioners 2.5-day retreat. We do this once a year. And Commissioner Koo, which is District 2, down, he only has one city in his district, the city of Lilburn. But he coined the term, he has what he calls the legacy part of the county. In other words, it was the first part to develop way back when. And I was sharing about all of our transportation needs and all of our improvement needs, intersection improvement needs. And see, down in that part of the county, they have double-lane highways where they need them. They have the road infrastructure there. They have a whole different set of problems, So it's always a challenge with the growth and revitalization, and it's just one step at a time. And I'll let Edgardo kind of speak to how you plan ahead for that sort of thing. But it's definitely a challenge. But I can tell you that it's better to have the challenge of growth than it is to try to shrink and to lose population. That's much more difficult.
And Mr. Hughes, and thank you for your question, and thank you for sharing your concerns. Bailey Road, just like you mentioned, State Route 324 Auburn Road at Bailey Road, 324 is maintained by the state. We have shared those concerns with the state. We see those concerns. We have seen them too as well. And as you know, it takes a while with the state because that state, when you have state funding, they have to get projects approved on their end too as well to get those funds on those projects. And for us, we have limited funds too as well. But what we do is we maintain what I called earlier is the universe of projects. So we keep a list of those intersection improvements, just the ones that you mentioned. We are keeping those in our list of projects so that if funding becomes available, if we have another SPLOST program that gets approved, then these projects would be considered for improvements to get those improved. And so, yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But still, we come back to the question, why are they approved when we know that it's going to be more traffic and more congestion, and it's going to take years for this to rectify itself? And why do we continue to approve these without placing some sort of condition on the developer?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, obviously you mentioned that part of the county's in City of Mulberry right now. We are actively looking at the area around Rowan as well, because we know that Rowan's going to bring in a new job center, right? That, there are going to be a lot of people that want to live that need to live around Rowan to be able to work there, right? But we have a lot of, reluctant to say rural in Gwinnett, but still kind of rural parts of Gwinnett over on the eastern side as well. And so we're trying to be really intentional and work with the community and engage to try to figure out what's appropriate in that area. How do we bring the housing that's needed in that up and coming employment center without straining the infrastructure that's out there? And so, and I will say too, that we're working more closely now than we ever have with the Department of Transportation, with the Department of Water Resources, to make sure that we're all on the same page with where that growth is coming and make sure that we're really planning ahead and getting out in front of it, because it has been a deficit in the past and we have been playing catch up, and we know we need to do better on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this will be the last question, and because we're coming up close to our quitting time, 9 o'clock.
Hi, I'm
8
Melanie
o'clock.
Keltz. I live off of Swanee Dam Road between Pibb and 20. Are they going to make it into 4 lanes? It's getting to the point. I mean, I've only been here like 2.5 years, and it's just, I don't know. I came from a county the same size, from up north, but down here it's like you guys are like 20 years behind in roads. And then my next question is, you said something about they don't have speed cameras. Do they have red light cameras here? Because I have never seen so many people run red lights down here. It's like, oh my God.
We had them for a little while, and then they got taken out for some reason.
I mean, people, it's like, I've seen 5 cars go on a red light, and I don't drive slow, but I have been passed. I have been passed in the middle turn lane on Swanee Dam because I'm going the speed limit. I mean, I shouldn't be afraid to drive.
Edgardo, did you know where she's talking about, Peachtree Industrial?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's Swanee Dam Road between PIB, Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, all the way to 20, yeah. So that's a 2-lane road.
Traffic is fine if the high school's not letting out, but
Yeah.
since everyone drives, I swear 90% of the kids must drive there. So they, it's like I can't make any appointments. All my doctor appointments are between 10 and 2 because before they're going to school and after they're going home from school.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of traffic that travels through there through Swanee Dam Road. We did a project not on Swanee Dam Road, but we did a project at the intersection of Peachtree Industrial Boulevard at Swanee Dam Road, and it's because of the traffic that it's in that area right there. We added a 3rd lane on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard heading southbound.
Which I love that, but it doesn't help because we got 20 and you got Swanee Dam, and then you have Windward Parkway or something, like all the way down and coming in, that cross the Chattahoochee. So it's like, there's only like 2 roads.
Yeah, but we don't have a project on Swanee Dam Road. We don't have a project to widen from 2 lanes to 4 lanes on Swanee Dam Road. But we are,
Can we ask for it?
yes, and it's already noted. So we're going to add that project to our list of projects so that that could be considered in the future if funding becomes available for that project. Okay.
Red lights?
Well, thank you so much. Yes,
No red lights, cameras?
I actually had a final question for Major Kane. So to end our question and answer session, because I get this email a lot, and it's something that I was concerned about and found out the answer, but it's about the flock safety cameras and our right to privacy as citizens from our government and government encroachment of our privacy when we're driving down the road. And so, Major Kane, if you could speak to how long that data is kept, kind of the law that's around those flock safety cameras, and if you could just speak to that for me. Thanks.
Well, I'm not the expert on that, and I don't know how long the law is kept. However, the folks that are the most versed in that are in the back of the room, so they can assist me with that when we get done if you like. The access to that information, we retain that data, but as far as, which part are you?
Like just from what I understand, it's only kept for 2 to 3 months, something like that. It has a
Unless
very,
part of that
very
investigation.
short life in our data center.
Right, and I think the misconception also is that we monitor those cameras. We do not monitor those cameras. We wouldn't have the resources to. Now, we have Intel analysts that monitor our calls for service as they come in. And if it comes in where we've got a flock camera somewhere close by, then that's information that those analysts can put out to our officers that are responding. So it has absolutely increased our ability to investigate and to respond to calls and to solve those more quickly. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just amazing how quickly you guys can solve crime when it does happen. I mean, it's usually in minutes. It's so amazing. So thank you for all the hard work you do.
yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. Let's close this out. So thank you all for your thoughtful questions tonight. And your engagement is what keeps Gwinnett vibrantly connected as we move forward. So before you head out, we have 3 outreach tables in the back. We have the Gwinnett Safe Communities, we have Gwinnett Water Resources, and our other community partners. I'll also be around for any additional questions you guys might have. And I hope you guys have a safe night drive home. And remember to stay rooted in Gwinnett. Thank you so much.